Hey guys, I'm Cloudem or just Casper and welcome to my quick tutorial on how to add some cool rain effect on your 3D renders. As we are going to use After Effects, I expect you to know some of the basics, but nevertheless I hope it will be clear to you what I'm doing. To begin with, I'm going to set up a quick and simple scene. I'm not going to dive deep on what's going on, as this tutorial isn't about it, but I thought I should show my process anyways. As you can tell, I record my voiceover on top so it would be much clearer for you guys. Otherwise, I would just mumble and talk nonsense like I usually do. I'm going to place some bookmarks just in case you want to skip some parts of the video and go straight to the main point. Alright, so in this scene I'm building right now, I'm using DAZ Studio for my character pose, Marvelous Designer for clothing, Adobe Substance 3D Painter for some texturing, and Cinema 4D for all other 3D stuff. Before I begin rendering my scene, I'm going to get some passes out of it. It includes Z-depth and some object color for masking. It is not necessary, but sometimes you can achieve greater depth in your renders and make your work easier in the post. So here we go, After Effects is where all the magic happens. I'm going to import my renders, make a new comp, then use Extractor to get the Z-depth and mask passes out of EXR file. Next thing and the key part of this tutorial is rain stock footage. Not some 3D rain simulation that would take decades to produce. We aim for fast and simple but effective ways. So get out your stock videos. I got mine from actionvfx.com. It is quite cheap and you can use your stock for a lifetime. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, I'm just happy they exist and make my life easier. That just sounds exactly like an ad. Right, I'm going to use just 2 stock videos to make it less complicated. I will start by placing ground splashes around my character or wherever I feel like to. By applying a mask, I will cut the edges of the footage to blend it within my render. Scale it down, flip it around to make it more random. Don't forget to work on the perspective. The closer the rain gets to the camera, you should scale it up and vice versa. I will speed up the video till I finish placing my ground splashes. Next thing, you can use either the mask we got from EXR file or mask some certain areas by yourself. In my case, I'm going to get rid of some rain from the foot but keep some by the heel just to blend everything better. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, just good enough to look believable to the eye. At the end, it's your decision on how much effort you want to put in. After I'm finished and happy with the rain splashes, I'm going to group or pre-comp all the footage together twice. First one is going to act as looping comp, and the second one just to hold all the rain together. Don't forget to add black background layer below to remove all the transparency. My whole animation will last around 5 seconds or 120 frames with 24 frames per second, but in order to make it loop, I will increase the comp length just so it would be easier to work with. I will make around 160 frames. So those 40 frames are for the transition to happen. I will mark 40 frames with my star button on my keyboard so I know where to find the cut later. I will cut this comp at that mark, then make a duplicate of it. I move the original comp to the beginning and the copy of it to the end of the original one. After I do that, I will extend back the duplicated comp and animate opacity from 0 at the beginning and 100% at the 40 frame mark. Then I will cut the whole comp to the original 120 frames and voila, it should be looping now. It is quite complicated to explain all this looping process in words, but I would rather you just follow the video and it should be clear to you what I'm doing. After we are finished with the splashes, we do the same with actual rain. I will scale it up for some close-up rain, going to play with the curves to blend it. I don't want the rain to be everywhere, only where the light would possibly hit it, so I will use mask to further blend it together. I'm going to duplicate it then and scale it down for it to look more believable. I will apply Z-depth on my rain to create some extra depth, but honestly it won't change much because my scene isn't as complex. And when I'm done, I'm going to repeat the same looping process like before. You should know it by now, so I'm going to fasten the video. So the rain bit is done, but I'm going to add some moving fog to enhance this scene even further. Right, so make a solid layer, add a fractal noise on top, scale it up at least 10 times and increase complexity. I usually play a little with contrast and brightness, it really depends on the scene. I will pre-comp it, then start animating the evolution and offset turbulence. I did enable cycle evolution, but it is not needed. Put the first keyframes at the beginning and the last ones at the end to make an animation. Looping the fractal noise is a bit tricky, but the idea is still the same. Make sure you use your mark so you know where is the cut. After we made our loop, next thing I will use Z-depth on it to blend it better and use some blending modes and decrease the opacity. I will add a mask on top of it, so the brightest area of the fog is around the circle. That personally does look better. So at this point your rain loop is finished and it is all about color grading, adding some effects or whatever else you want to do to your art. You can stick around for a little bit longer if you're interested on how I color grade my pieces. So export your animation as PNG sequence, import one frame to Photoshop, make it as a smart layer and use Camera Raw filter. It has all kinds of settings you can play with. You wouldn't believe how it can enhance your work and put it on another level. After you finish playing with it, save your Camera Raw settings to your project folder. Then import your sequence you exported earlier, but before pressing import button, change the format of the files you're searching from all acceptable files to all files. That way you have access to different formats, and instead of opening your sequence as PNG, import it as Camera Raw. You will see the same window opening from Photoshop Camera Raw. Just load the settings you saved earlier and press OK. Now you have your settings applied to all the animation. Change the FPS, as a default is 30, but we worked on 24. By right-clicking on the sequence, then interpret footage, main, then change the number and press OK. Finally, you got your amazing render with awesome looping rain and new color grading. Thank you for watching. If it helped you, please like this video and subscribe. I will be posting more tutorials sometime soon. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.